Hello and welcome back to the main channel. Last time we started to construct on the highway, which is currently still being built on, started work on our resource distribution over here, and finished the construction of our money-making operation. Today I want to finish the highway over here because we have quite the bottleneck, and having like an exclusive area for exporting here would be amazing. Plus I'm gonna start constructing the city very soon because it's already a little bit into the game, and I think we are ready for doing that. Plus, I would like to finish this over here so we have very efficient resource importation. The main bottleneck here is railway construction, like honestly, it's really bad. And foreign workers are really slow. I might actually thinking about if that takes too long to just kind of let this be constructed in the background while we actively already built the city up. Because then we could just use the workers from over here to help with that, and those workers would be so much more efficient because your own population is cheaper and more motivated. That's huge. Plus, we need to start researching. Like, jokes aside, we really need some technologies that will help us to make money. Stuff like a pipeline connections, we don't need to use trucks to export anymore, would be huge. And the highway is being built, at least this road to the highway. This bridge over here is also about to be done. We only need to roll it now. Very cool. And this one just needs asphalt. Very good. Yeah, for now I'm just skipping a bit forward for this to be done and for us having basically more capacity with our construction centers again. In terms of investing your game time, this might be very inefficient for pro players, but I want to make this clear one more time. This series is not about min-maxing. This is not about the most efficient way to play the game. This is mostly about teaching the game, and I feel like if I do everything at the same time, like explain how building a city works, while explaining how railway works, while explaining how the basics of the game work, no one will be able to follow this. Because my main goal for this, at least for the first video series here, is to just teach the game in the easiest way to follow. And I'm always happy for all advice. Like before this video, I got like a huge Discord message on how to build up a city. And a lot of the stuff I already knew, but there's always these few little tips of information that you just don't know about the game that completely change your workflow and make you so much better in understanding the game. And I gotta say, I really appreciate those comments because I'm not a pro. I'm gonna say this. I just have a lot of appreciation for this game and I'm very much self-taught. But I do be thinking I'm in a unique position where I know enough about the game while also not knowing too much about the game, so I can explain it very well because I still remember a lot of the questions I had when I played. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to forwarding, which, you know, the real bottleneck is the railway construction and the very limited amount of workers we have. But this is nearly done. And once this is done, I'm gonna explain how we're gonna do our logistics hub over here. Until then, I'm gonna watch the highways being built because personally, very satisfying. Yeah, look at this. Built, pave it. Yeah. I don't know, seeing the progress in that is just so satisfying to me. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I looked at this for such a long time. I'm pretty sure the storage is done now, and yeah, it is done. So let's talk about that and what I plan with this over here. TLDR, this is gonna be our main supply route where a big train is going to go here, pick up all the goods we need, drive around here, and load them off one after another. I mean, except the trash. That we will probably load on and bring to the border. But meaning that we will also kind of want to regulate what goes into what. So I will say this over here because we need it quite a bunch is going to be our steel storage. This over here is going to be bricks. This over here is going to be prefab panels. And this over here is going to be, and I'm actually going to do this manually, 80% wood and 20% aluminium. For this storage over here, as I said before, we want to store coal because this is for our heating plant, which is run by coal. I know, crazy. And what I'm going to start doing now is order our distribution offices over here to unload in all of these offices here. Because even though we don't have a train yet, it might be good to fill them up now because, as I said, inflation, resources only become more expensive over time. So now that we already have this, I'm just going to fill it up. And as always, copy task to another building and clicking the other distribution office. Very beautiful. This will now go out, buy different resources like steel, aluminum, prefab panels, wood. Similar over here, we're gonna fill it with a lot of goods we will need for our industry/citizens. That's why I built a big storage over here. What I don't need here is crops and explosives. I think everything else we can actually store here as a buffer storage and use that for that. So yeah, once again, distribution office, fill this up, copy that orders. Beautiful. Will create more traffic, but long term, it will matter less because we will have this highway over here, which is actually very soon in construction. The roundabout is about to be done. Only paving paving and a bit more of asphalt. And I would say once this road is done and we have a lot of our building capacity back, I'm going to start building on the city. And for that, my main goal is going to be to kind of build a new city center over here and over time integrate more and more of the old city. Maybe actually here. The most important part is that we flatten that area. So you know what, while we're waiting, I'm just going to flatten the area that's like not really interesting. So you're not really missing anything here. I'm just going to do that. And yeah, I would say that looks pretty good. Just so you see, like the higher the height differences, the longer it kind of takes to flatten the area. So this does get very tedious. But jokes aside, for now, this looks pretty good. That's a big area to build in. So we're going to use that. And yes, very satisfying road construction. Very good. And generally speaking, with everything up to the roundabout done, I'm just going to set up the directions again. I think for the future, I'm just not going to show this anymore because I think I've shown it many times now. And if you don't know how to do this by now, maybe watch the early episodes. I swear there's some funny edits in there, okay? It is worth it. But yeah, looks pretty good. Highway is coming. But this also freed up a lot of building capacity because you only need to build one road now, and that mostly means one asphalt paver and then in there dumpers that deliver asphalt. Why are you over here? Why are you okay, this is kind of funny. They arrive here and then they teleport to the other side of the road and pave it from... Sure, yeah, you know what? I'll take it. Beautiful. So something I've not talked about yet is this over here. Purchase used vehicles, which is quite interesting because here you can basically buy vehicles that have already been used, making them a lot cheaper, but most of the time very much used. So this track builder with wear and tear 17% costing 67,000 rubles would normally cost 89. By the way, that's a good example of how the price already got up because I talked about it in the first episode and I'm not sure if I showed it in the second episode, but now in the third episode, there you go. That's the inflation so far. So this is a lot cheaper, but this is also very much RNG what you get and when, because there's always basically random stuff that you can buy. This is not very reliable, but because at some point I want to have electric railways anyways, and this locomotive is quite good, just a bit damaged, I'm gonna buy it because we have our beautiful vehicle repair station and I'm pretty sure we can just repair it and that way use it later. At the same time, I'm also gonna already buy for the railway, because it's cheaper now, our wagons, where we will basically need mostly gravel and coal. I think we will need a lot of that, so I'm gonna buy 2 for each, meaning 2 gravel and 2 coal, which of course later on I will set what is what, but for now I'm just gonna buy the wagons and plan it in my head. For construction materials, I'm just gonna buy 1 for each, so 5 are enough. You know what, steel we might actually need more, so I'm gonna buy 6. And as for covered hulls, for all the indoor storage goods, we need 1 for everything minus crops and explosives, which in my head counting is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, meaning we've basically our entire train now purchased and in this custom house, but we can't really get it out of here until we have electric railroads or we find a very, very cheap diesel locomotive, which we actually have. They are very cheap ones, 50% wear and tear. Okay, I'm gonna buy you because you're very cheap and we can repair you. Beautiful. So we will have a diesel locomotive for moving wagons around in our railway network, and we will have an electric locomotive for the general cargo transportation because energy is way more cheaper than fuel. Okay, like electricity, very good in railway. Talking about it, we actually need some kind of fueling station for that. So I think I can get it in here. A cheeky little train diesel station. By the way, if you didn't know where it is, it's over here with trains, and all the way to the right, you have the diesel here and you have the electrified railway over here. Yeah, very easy to find. It's where it should be, which is crazy. I know. It has no electricity though, so the last thing we need is a substation. Very good. So now let's talk people, because we finally gonna scratch the topic of how to build a city that will not immediately die away, especially in a pre-built city like this, because for now all the workers are fine. But if you didn't know, these workers are basically inactive and will have no real needs until you activate them. The only building that doesn't really activate them is a church. This building over here that burned down can activate the workers, meaning once they go into here, all of their needs activate and they die. Now comes the scary part. We have to build a city without activating the workers. Otherwise, we'll just die off and all of these buildings will be empty, which to a certain degree is fine because on such a big map, you can just get workers from somewhere else. But let's act like we really care for our people. I know, crazy. And we don't want them to die immediately just because we started building on a shopping center. What I recommend here, and is actually a recommendation I got via Discord, over here, you can basically maximize this window over here and you get more options. What we will do now is set this to 0, meaning once we place down a construction order, we want only the construction offices working on it. So my plan now is basically build a skeleton of infrastructure. So I'm going to build another road over here. And then once that is all placed, we're going to build our entire city, plan it out, and very selectively let workers construct on it. Because if the workers constructed before we have the basic needs done, or we don't prioritize the basic needs to supply them, they will starve to death or something similar. There's a lot of ways for workers to die in this game, to be fair. So yeah, what we will do now is build a bit more infrastructure. I guess something like this. It's not perfect, I know, but once we build it, it will actually look less worse. So construct that. Road construction, by the way, is also pretty safe because the only way you can really get workers to a road construction is if they get picked up by a bus and being loaded off at the construction site. Otherwise, they just, will not go there. So this is the one construction that is not dangerous to do. This is why also none of the workers died when I started building this over here, because I only used foreign workers to do that. And this is why I'm also gonna expand on that project. Bam. So this is gonna be our base infrastructure for building some of the stuff over here. We could actually make it a little bit more experimental and say this road over here goes into here. And yeah, this is less about efficiency. This is basically just planning ahead for later. But yeah, this is actually important because we will need some infrastructure at the Danube. We will need some infrastructure more in the middle of the city to basically fulfill the basic needs. And one last thing we really need to build, I'm not sure where we're gonna build this, is a sewage treatment plant. I think, funnily enough, this thing doesn't create pollution. So theoretically, we could build it like here and no one would care. There's apparently no smell complaint in this game, but I feel like that's not good. I know, crazy. I personally wouldn't like to live next to a sewage plant. So for your own playthrough, if you don't care about these things, you can just build like any type of sewage plant next to the city. And what I'm about to show you will work just fine. But as I said, I kind of want to build a realistic city. So I kind of want to think about the stinkiness of that and build it a little bit more outside. Meaning, yes, we will need buses to get workers there, but in the end of the day, I don't care. And we can build it in peace over here, knowing that no one will die going there because it's too far away. I'm actually going to place it a little bit more here. Beautiful. And as for the railway, yeah, this should work. Now, I'm just going to let this build in the background. I will make a more detailed explanation on what infects what and how what works later. I just started construction on the big sewage treatment plant because it takes forever to be built. Starting it earlier rather than later is good. All the other buildings don't take nearly as long, but will need my full attention so these workers don't activate and start dying. The first step of the city, crazily enough, is once again infrastructure. So we're building, and yeah, I know it's a little bit overkill, but I don't care, asphalt roads. And they finally start construction on the sewage plant. Very good. Will still take a while, but good that we start now. Over here, the road is also very close to being done. Of course, it needs to be rolled after, but paving it takes the longest, so that's very good. This road is about to be completed. Very nice. Meaning we can finally utilize this infrastructure over here and change our export routes. Meaning we can finally utilize the full capacity of our oil production and reduce traffic over here by a lot. So what we need to do now is to basically edit our trade route, or at least this schedule over here, to the other custom house. The best way to do this is to go on view line details, basically summarizing all the trucks that are currently on the same line, clicking on the current custom house, deleting the stop, and adding the other one instead. Unloading, that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna save the changes. And now the new route will be to go down here, use the infrastructure we just built, and load it off here. And because it takes them a little bit longer to get there, I'm going to utilize the vehicles we have over here to help them. And we should now actually be able to fully use our oiling operation to make good money, because they will have basically no more traffic. We can now follow this truck on its entire journey, which apparently now goes to the gas station. Very good. But from now on, there should be barely any traffic along the way. Maybe some building vehicles, but overall, this road is basically just for him, and he should be able to load off those profits. Yeah, very good. There's still going to be a little bit over here in traffic, and once they get the new rhythm, the traffic should be gone. Very good. Is this emptying now? I mean, the pumps have emptied a bit, but overall, this is still very full, so we might actually need more oil trucks. I'm going to keep an eye on this, and if this doesn't really empty, I will get more trucks involved, but I do think we should have enough now. Yeah, they do all empty now. Money-wise, we do be in a big negative, but to be honest, I'm just building very expensive infrastructure for this playthrough, because long-term it will be better, and it's kind of nice to show it off on a grander scale. But so far, we made really good money with our oil, over 500,000, and it was with the cap production. I think now that we have no more traffic, this will go up by a lot. Yeah, the traffic over here also got a lot better. That was really horrendous in the last episode. So we should even get faster with the railway construction. Yeah, look at this. It actually is already next to the depot. Very beautiful. Still takes forever to be built though. And I would also say with this infrastructure over here built, we should get some power lines over here. So I'm gonna build over here a high voltage switch. And I actually don't want to use this again because, as I said, there's like an overcapacity for your electricity network. So I would like to use another source of electricity. Problem being is that the closest source is down here. Oh, and the good note is that you can just build power lines very easily. Like this will be constructed really fast, so I don't really care. I'm just gonna try to keep it outside future infrastructure as good as possible and connect it to here. Once again, double checking, is it all connected? If you click on it and you see it's all lighted up, the entire construction site, it is very good. So I caught everything and it is connected. Very good. Now we need, of course, a power transformer, and for the city I'm just gonna build it here. Bum. I'm also gonna prepare building some electricity here. So substation here and a substation maybe here with some mud paths should be good enough. And of course, not forgetting to connect it. With this, we're not covering the entire city, but I also don't want to utilize the entire city from the beginning because that is very, very expensive. But what I'm going to build is I'm going to build a new city center here, as I said before, activate the workers in this area here, and starting from that, basically integrate more and more of the city into our operation so we can utilize the city one district after another in a way. Basically, we're buying the base game, and that over here will be DLC. And I would also say before we build anything too big, I'm going to build a bus platform over here very early on, because having that in the middle of the city center is very useful, because then we can just pick up the workers from here and bring them to wherever we want. Basically over here for heating, for railway construction, and later on over here for sewage. By the way, for the sewage plant, we need one last very important thing, and that's basically an endpoint. And we of course going to be very Soviet and just going to pump our entire sewage into the Danube, like any good citizen would do. So like this, and I think for this operation I'm just gonna use a third path. There you go. Not forgetting to connect this. Bum, bum, bum. I would say, since I built this, let's talk about sewage and how it actually works. Basically, very short TLDR on sewage is that every building, I mean most buildings, produce sewage. And to collect that sewage, you can either use trucks, which is very inefficient because you have to go to every building and pick up the sewage, or you use a sewage tank, which basically sucks up the sewage from all the buildings in the area, but itself has no capacity. So that will fill up basically immediately once it's connected to some buildings, and you need to get it off from the sewage tank. So what you need to do is to transport the sewage from the sewage tank to our sewage treatment facility. What you can also do is just immediately pump it into the Danube, but the problem you will have here, and I have talked about this before very shortly in the first episode, is pollution. Like if you pump a lot of shit into here, let's be direct, pollution will very fast spread around here and make this entire operation uninhabitable. It's a silent death, so you will not notice it immediately, but once it's too late, you will notice it. The solution for that is the very overkill building over here, which is my permanent solution for Vienna, a sewage treatment plant, where you basically get the sewage in, you need to import some chemicals, and together with workers and chemicals, you basically reduce the pollution of the sewage, allowing you to basically pump it somewhere in, like the Danube in our case. Most important tip about sewage pipes is that you can't build them up a hill. So they always need to gradually go down. Even if it's just a little bit, but they always need to go down. Meaning that if I build over here a sewage tank, I could bring it over here, no problem. But if I try to go slightly up, it will not work. To fix that, you can always build a pumping station to kind of get it down and then up again. But I will try to avoid that. And I think in this case, the game is very liberal about what is downwards, because I think 1 millimeter already counts. So even though this is all on the same level, I can easily connect this to this sewage switch, which I will build. By the way, switches are very, very useful to kind of collect a lot of pipes into one and then continue and then bring it into here. Because we only have 4 connections, so we want to use them wisely. But yeah, that's a very, very fast TLDR on sewage. If you're on the same level, you should be mostly fine, funnily enough, even though it says you always have to go down. But this system is kind of very forgiving, so good for us. What I'm also going to do is over here build another sewage tank, and we, as I said, gradually going to expand our network of infrastructure. For now, I'm going to build all the basics in an area that I can easily control, build a little bit of the city there, and then later on expand it into different other directions. Now with sewage being built and electricity being set up, let's talk about the other liquid, water. Yeah, I know. Apparently, people need drinking. A lot of video games ignore that. This game doesn't. Welcome to realistic mode. And water is basically like sewage, but a bit easier to handle. I mean, you really need a lot of pumps instead of elevation. But from my experience, like handling water is just way easier than sewage, because pumps are very easy, but always checking elevation it can destroy your planning a little bit. Gotta say that. So first thing you need with water is a water well. And I'm of course going to build the big one. With this water well, you can basically mostly ignore the quality, because after building the water well, I would say over here is a good position, we are going to build a water treatment facility. You know what, that I'm just going to build over here. And with those two, you could obviously just connect them with the pipe, which we have to do, because we want to pump the water from the water well into the water treatment plant. But critical word here, we want to pump it. So I'm going to get a big pump, because, you know, go big or go home. Get the thickest pipe and pump it into the treatment plant. Very good. Because we're not using any of the local workers, thanks to this setting over here, the people are not dying while we're building all of this. The one thing I need to be careful about is that once these buildings are done being built, that I immediately disallow them from taking any workers. Otherwise, they will go in and activate themselves. So this is what I mean with I need to be very much hands-on here and be careful that no one goes in and dies. And if you want to know how you do that, it's basically over here you can increase or decrease the quote-unquote productivity or number of workers you can put in here. I've basically decreased the productivity to 0 over here, allowing 0 workers of 30. For now, I want no workers in this building. I rather want the workers to go into all of the other buildings like railway construction, repair facility, fire station. And yes, I know pro players, there's this button over here where you can assign people to certain buildings. But in this case, I've just decided against it. For new players, yes, this exists and this is how you use it. I think this is very self-explaining. But in this case, I just disallowed them, which is the other way to do it. But look at that, we're nearly next to the railway depot. We can get the wagons very soon. I mean, we could if we could fuel the train, which I will actually order my fuel trucks to fill up. Very good. And going back to water, to basically supply the houses / buildings around you, like with sewage and a sewage tank, you need a water substation, which basically supplies the local buildings with water. And I haven't said it this episode yet, but I did say it in the first episode. Just gonna repeat it now. These lines over here basically give you the preview of what buildings will be impacted by this substation. Same with sewage, same with electricity. So this substation, if I hover over here, supplies these buildings / fountains. Pretty straightforward. And once again, because we put the setting down here to 0, they're not allowing any local workers to work here, meaning we can just chill. And it doesn't mean that no workers will come. Like over here, they do bring foreign workers to work here. They just don't allow local workers, which is very good for us because they would die. And before I forget, because I did actually nearly do that, to connect this, once again, pump station, dirt road, big water pipe, connect this here. It looks beautiful. Connect this here. Perfection. One last thing we could do, and you know what, we're gonna be very, very precise on the Florius channel today, is build one last building in between, and that is the water storage. And we're gonna build this over here. Nope, don't build that footpath. Build this footpath. Connect you to that. Oh, by the way, we have something on fire. What is burning? Oh, please, please, please. Oh, fire trucks on the way. Actually, fireworkers in. 3. Might be enough. Come on, I believe in you. Yeah. Ooh, that would have been very expensive to lose that. There's some very expensive stuff in there. Anyways, I need to keep my eyes on this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna connect this to the tank. And after the tank, we once, of course, need pumps between this, because you always need to keep pressure between 2 water buildings. And yeah, we have the first time the problem that we can't go through here because here's a building. Just as a note that getting pipes through buildings is really hard, so I'm just gonna do... This is already so horrible. This is such a horrible pipe network, but I warned you, piping in this game, you just need to know that it works, not how it works. That's the best advice I can give you. This is gonna be our piping. Very, very straightforward. It looks horrible. But TLDR, and yes, this is very space-saving way to build. TLDR, it goes from the water well, into the pump, into the water treatment plant, once again into the pump, into our underground water reservoir, which is just our water storage, into a pump, and from there, finally, into the water substation that supply our citizens with water. And the sewage, which is basically the other way around, we collect the sewage into our sewage tank. It will fall down into this sewage switch, where the output of these 2 sewage tanks is being collected, brought into our water treatment plant, which is currently being constructed, where it will be refined to less toxic shit, and then finally being beautifully and absolutely renewably pumped into the Danube. Very beautiful. I will now sit back again and let this fast forward. We basically wait for workers to arrive and stuff to be built. This is very soon done. Yeah, basically only needs workers, but this last step does actually take forever because you can't take any mechanisms to make it faster. And 1 work day is 1 worker working an entire day, like 8 hours that he works here. But still, that's a lot. So we would need 861 workers to get it done in 1 day. And we will mostly get like 20 workers into this because we are capped by like foreign workers, which are not a lot. Like this bus over here has like 44. That's actually a lot. But you see, this will take a while to be built and we can't really speed it up. This is why I built this very early on, because it's a very slow building to build. But you know, it is what it is. Now, while all of these beautiful things are being built, let's talk about needs. What do you need? What do you desire? What is something you always wished for? If the answer is a block that supplies you with food food, clothing, and electronics, even some meat, then I have good news for you. If you wanted anything else, you will still get the block of food, meat, and clothing. You're welcome. Anyways, great introduction, I know. I'm kind of thinking where I want to build this, because over here, we're not in range of this population over here, but I could just build a walking road over here to get them included. On the other side, thing we also need to build is a hospital, and there's the option that doesn't take a lot of space, and there's the option that is, hello, I'm a brick and welcome to your new healthcare. And I gotta be honest, I'm really in love with the block. Yeah, we're gonna build the block. You can't stop me. Doesn't this look beautiful? You know, you're living here, you look outside and you see a block. I know. Welcome to the future. And in terms of shopping, I'm gonna build it like, yes, we do need a road connection, so I'm gonna do it like this to keep it less horrible. And now the most important thing for a shopping center is storage. I know it has a local storage, but out of my own experience, this is not enough. And having more storage is always better than having no storage. So what I'm going to do is a little bit overkill, but I like to do it just to be on the safe side with my infrastructure. That is, build some other storages on the side. This is going to be a little bit of a Jenga game because very limited space, a lot of things I want to put here, but I'm going to start with a forklift garage to transport this into the storages, a meat storage, and I'm not sure if I have space for the big one. Oh, we do. Should we do this really overkill? Yeah, let's do it really overkill. Then we need another storage. This will never work. I have no road access for this. Wait. I have a dream. I put it here. Please. No. Yes. Oh. Let's go. Okay, we completely blocked off the access from this side, meaning the population has a way harder time getting here. But I do feel like if we build more population over here, this is very good covered. For our first shopping center and saving a little bit of space here, this is actually quite nice. Yes, it looks a little bit horrible, but I don't care. We're gonna make it look good, I promise. And with those two most important needs covered, because in my opinion, healthcare and food is two big needs, let's talk next about garbage. I would say we could actually use the space over here, because what we need for that is a technical service, and I'm just gonna build the big one. And I think I just noticed that I never built electricity here, so let's change that. And this building will basically allow us to employ garbage trucks and some other utility services to basically take care of the city. This is also the building where you could get like water tanks and sewage vehicles, even snowplows. I know some of you in the comments have a sympathy for snowplows, but nah, fuck them. Yeah, this is going to be a very important building. What we just need to kind of make it useful is building sites so we can collect the garbage. And for that, I'm going to build over here at obviously waste, at the waste category, the stand for small garbage containers, large. I'm going to build one over here, and one over here to basically keep everything in range, because they are very, very short range. Because this one over here is basically just in range of the hospital and maybe some houses, so basically nothing. This over here is just about to be in range of both buildings here, and this one is basically just for the shopping centers. And you can spot this with the trash icon and the meter symbol, because if I go a little bit further away, you see already over here it is out of range. So we will need quite a lot more of these, but for now that should be enough. Which brings us to the last big thing, the thing that breaks most of the people's neck in the early game, and it is heating. I think the first winter of every city is the scariest moment for every player. Like, if you're new to the game and you reach the first winter, you're gonna be like, do or die. Trust me, I will sweat too. Because in that moment, the game will prove if you have a working heating system or not. For the beginning, because we don't need to heat those buildings over here, the old city houses have their own heating, which is kind of a trade-off where they will produce a little bit of pollution, but keep themselves warm. The buildings that don't have that ability are our buildings. So what we need to do is to basically provide heating for the stuff we build. So I'm gonna build one heat exchange over here, which is basically the supplier for heat. I'm gonna build a big one because we're building a big city. And we need to connect this with heating pipes, of course, underground, because underground is supreme, to our heating plant. And you can already read the problem. Too long. So what we need to build in between are heat pumping stations. So I'm gonna build one over here. That's, by the way, why I kind of prepared this road, so we're a little bit more outside of the city. Gonna get an electrical substation because it does need electricity, and connect this electrical substation with our transformer and with the road. Now I'm gonna connect this over here with this and hope that this is in range of our heating plant. Oh yeah, it's just in range. And yeah, this might look weird, but I think it still works. works. If you don't want to have this thing here, I have a little bit of a trick where I do this. Go with the pipe one level down. By the way, if you don't know how to go up and down with pipes, it's Q and E. Q for down, E for up. Yeah, I know it says it here at the bottom, but not everyone notices that. And with not everyone, I mean me. I never spotted this. For the longest time, I didn't know how this works. But if you connect them from both sides in the ground, everything underground, no weird things. I want to say no weird things on top. And then I saw how the pipe just goes through here, literally embracing all of that. Yeah, maybe I need to fix that. Yeah, that looks better. But if you want to know the reason why you don't want to go too low, is that the step where you dig basically the pipe takes way longer if you dig deeper. So just as a warning, if you build a pipe, only make it as deep as you need. If you go too deep, they will dig forever. Like this will take 3,200 work days, which is a lot. But once again, we need to build it once. And once this is here, we have basically the one heat connection we do need. So this is very important, but at the same time, we should have it easily. What I did check real quick is our oil storage. And I gotta say, yeah, I think we have enough trucks because it's going slightly down, which means we found a really good balance and we can sell at 100% efficiency. Very cool. Meaning that we made so far soon $1 million in oil. And that's a passive income. And this didn't cost too much to set up. So this being something we can use until the end of the game, because this never runs out, good income source. And later on, we can utilize it for higher refined industries. By the way, why are you building this? This is like the least important railway. Stop building this. Build the actual important stuff over here, please. Oh, okay. Let me tell you this because this is something you might not know. Sometimes when a railway splits off like this, it might not add the other railway, which it's kind of split off from, to the order. So every time you kind of build like a split off section, maybe look at there again if they didn't automatically add it to the building queue, because this kind of confuses the eye a little bit. I'm on full searching range, so that's actually not the problem. But yeah, when it splits off like this, it sometimes does weird stuff. And now it started building over here because even though it's low priority, it's the only mission it found it can do. So there are a lot of little things in the game that if you don't know them, they can really screw you over. But to be fair, the game is so much fun. I'm fine with it. I'll accept it. What I'm also gonna do is put most of these end stations on low priority, so they basically finish as last. Because the main priority here is to get all the other stuff done. I mean, actually, electricity can go. Like, electricity is fine. But everything else won't be able to function without workers. So I'm afraid it might activate the need in the house for sewage. And then we're not able to do anything with it because the entire infrastructure is not done yet. So I want everything to be constructed and have it on normal priority. But the last step, like the sewage tank and the water substation, I'm just going to put on low priority so they finish it last. Oh, they did finish construction on that. I really hope this doesn't activate the need for heating, because that would be stupid. And yes, this was on low priority too, so I don't know why they finished it. And because they're still using this storage over here, I'm actually gonna change this up now and force them to start using these, including that over here for the components. Very good. Also gonna copy these orders to the other construction offices. And I don't know what my RNG is, but I just got another pandemic. The game wants to tell me something. Maybe the city is not meant to be lived in. I don't know. So I have to be very careful now because this building is about to be finished. I stopped it immediately. And I'm gonna decrease the amount of workers to 0 so no one will work here. I really hope no one went to start to work here. I'm gonna keep an eye on the roads, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, there's like one person going in. I immediately clicked 0, but I guess the second it was done, some people went in. I really hope only a few people die from this, because if this activates the entire buildings I lived in, I'm gonna have some tough luck here. This over here is also about to be done. Very good. The only thing it needs is chemicals. So I'm gonna make a dedicated distribution office over here, and we can, I think, one last one over here. What we will also really need over here is a gas station. So you know what, I'm gonna do that. I would say like maybe here, not inside the city, otherwise it would just create a lot of traffic. Something like this. Beautiful. And yeah, it does look like that population doesn't decrease so far, so that didn't screw them over. The heating building didn't screw them over, so far we are not screwed. Let's hope we can keep it that way. The pipe is done. That's actually really good. So yeah, the heating infrastructure is prepared. The only thing we need is workers to work in the heating plant, which we will do via bus lines, so that is secured. We will need a drop-off for buses over here, so maybe something like this. And you can see right now, residents heat themselves, causing pollution. So yeah, that's like the downside of having these houses over here. What I should also do right now, actually kind of really important, is are they going outside? No, they're not. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna build like footpaths over here so that these workers can reach the infrastructure over here easier. And I'm basically building those because they're the fastest, and more importantly, the better quality your footpaths are, and that I mean the walking speed of it, the further the buildings can be away. So these being good walking speed allows more houses to reach the shopping center. A little bit of an expensive endeavor for so much stuff, but long term I think it's gonna be worth it, so let's build that. For our first warehouse here, I'm gonna limit it to only take food, clothing, and electronics. Basically the stuff the supermarket needs, and for the meat storage it just can store meat, so we don't need to set that up. And yeah, pump check is burning, and that's why I built an asphalt road to them so they can reach it in time, which they did, and I hope we have enough workers to actually, yeah. Okay, it needs to be reconstructed now, but this is close, and this is why I like asphalt roads over here, because these back here are kinda hard to reach with this fire station otherwise. They're not even in reach. If those burn, it's over. So I would say railway-wise, we're looking actually really good. I think I can actually take this over here and bring it into our depot. Oh, they can't get there because there is no straight connection. Yeah, this is, yeah. A solution for that is building a little bit of a crossroads over here for the railway, a little bit of a lane switch, and I'm gonna give this high priority. Plus over here, not useful for the future but not expensive to build, some way to reach the fuel station, giving those higher priority, so they should build this very, very soon. But yeah, railway construction with no workers still very, very slow. The next building is done. I immediately paused right after it was done, so no workers here again. Thank you very much. And did anyone get in time? Oh yeah, like 2 people will die. Goodbye. Sacrifice I am willing to make. Next building done, no workers, very good. I think yeah, so far I preserved the workers over here very well. Thanks again for the DM, that was like very helpful to learn how to kind of preserve these workers and how the activation works. I try to share it as good as possible in this episode. If you have more questions about this, as always, put them in the comments. If you want something described again in future episodes, put it into the comments. To be like totally honest, like episode 2 and 3 I recorded right after each other just because of time reasons, because my schedule is a little bit tight at the moment, but latest episode 4 I can react again what you wrote in episode 2 and 3, and I also will. And if you might have noticed in episode 1, I do interact with my comments. I do. Very important. Oh my god, so much. Like, this was done and immediately a lot of workers were here. But so far, no one is dying. You know, for now, they seem to be fine. Maybe they don't activate, but they, like, start to drain their needs once they're in those buildings. Because in here, they are seem to be fine for now. But good news, our technical station is done. So what I will do is, firstly, buy a whole bunch of garbage trucks. 2 big ones too, just in case. Also, to be on the safe side, I'm gonna buy 1 water truck and 1 sewage truck. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna double that. And the rest into waste again. Once again, this is an anti-snowplow channel, so we're not gonna get any snowplows. And I'm gonna order them to get most of that over here. Sewage into the sewage treatment plant, and water they will get from here. I actually don't want to extend their working range for now, because it would be overwhelmed by all of that. Over here, I also prepared the forklifts. The only thing we're missing now, here and here, is to add them to the list that need fuel. So you need fuel, and you need fuel. So I added them to the distribution office that currently does fuel. And for this distribution office over here, which is basically our civilian needs, we will get 2 covered hulls and, very important, 1 refrigerated truck. So the trucks are here. I will order them to get the meat from over here, because we don't have that in our storages, and the rest from over here, because there's our storage house. We have food here, we have clothes here, we have electronics here, and they should load it off here, 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 and here. Meaning we load from our resource distribution over here and meat here, because I don't have a cold storage over there, which you could later add, but it's not that much of capacity, so will not really create traffic. And unload into here, where we have very much regulated what this needs, and also into here for chemicals, and also into here for chemicals. And the chemicals we also store over here, so every need should be provided. And yeah, they now go out, provide these needs. Very beautiful. I would also say now that we have a waste operation to generally build and care about it over here. So I'm gonna build like a garbage container here and a garbage container here, which has both the repair station and the heating plant in range. So we reduce the pollution in this area, plus over here. Very good. I might also do something risky. I'm gonna build like a dirt road here so they can come from the other side and upgrade this entire road over here to asphalt, because long term this is going to be very important to be asphalt. Was a cheap solution to build a dirt, but we need it good now. Also keep an eye, this is being built, this is being built. These are not being built, but please do that. And you look at that, our gas station over here is already very popular. I mean, we also have this free one over here still, but I kind of wanted it to not be filled anymore, so that is empty. I would say once that is built, you can generally kind of populate this entire operation here. Very important. We should do it in spring, so we have the longest time to get our heating plant into operation. Like, if that doesn't work, we have a problem. For the future, I will actually build a few more houses over here because we already have the infrastructure. Why not use it? And yes, this kind of looks horrible, but there's weird snapping to the road. So yeah, the game has kind of will of its own. And it's a very grim day. The oil price has fallen. Very sad. But how much did we make so far? 1.2 million. Look at that. And I think by a long shot, we have the investment cost of all the trucks plus this area back already. Setting up the forklift garage, loading it into the shopping center, basically making it ready. Just needing cellars now and maybe drinking water. Over here for building new houses, very important. Automatically activated is get citizens via rubles. I'm gonna change this to randomly move citizens from existing residential buildings, because this way we start our already existing population to fill these houses and not pay money to get new ones. Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised how much of this population survived. This setting over here is really strong. Like, jokes aside, this is really good. Everyone actually survived. I know I'm not surprised at all. They always survive in my safe games, I swear. I don't sacrifice an entire population just to build a city, okay? I would never do that. But yeah, we generally connect a lot of people to our shopping center here. That is very nice. Gonna run like a parallel road down here. And the hospital is done immediately. No workers, thank you. I'm gonna buy... Should we buy a helicopter? You know what? This is overkill. 2 helicopters. I love my people. And a lot of ambulances. Actually, like 6 is enough. Yeah, we generally have choppers in our hospital now. That is so good. But yeah, population-wise, everyone did survive in the old city houses. Very cool. Our shopping center is prepared. You know what? I think the only thing we need to wait now for is spring. Yeah, I'm gonna do a few things in the background, summarize it in spring, and then we're gonna basically activate our city and see if they die. So this is done. Let me get the diesel locomotive into our grain depot. Finally, here will probably be immediately repaired. Do we have some people in here? We do, and they're repairing it. You know what? I'm actually gonna build a professional bus station over here now. The last thing I'm gonna do today, because I've already nearly reached 2 hours of recording again, that's kind of my hard limit on what I want to record per episode, is to basically activate all of these buildings in March, a bit later. I will basically look at the temperature, and if it's like, yup, that's survivable, I will do it. Okay, we have March now. Something I do want to mention real quick before we go into the city is this is nearly done, so we can set up all of this basically next episode already, which is going to be really good and also going to be necessary for the heating plant. But once again, problem for November. For now, I'm just going to allow all of this to be used now and pray our people won't die. And also some fires happened and we lost the heat pump over here because it was out of range. But that aside, I also got myself some buses. So what I will do is say over here, pick only workers up and load them off over here. You go out. Some more buses on that line. Beautiful. I will also allow workers to now go to this bus platform, and you see it already rushing out. Actually gonna dedicate this entire building over here just to go to this bus platform and start utilizing that. This bus over here now is gonna pick up the workers. A lot of workers. Oh my god, that's way more workers than what we need over here. Here we need like 20. Okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna say, if you come back, you can unload everything. So it's gonna come here, load all the people, go over here, load off as many people that are needed, which are 20 in this case, and then go over here and load off everyone else to work in these places over here. Oh my god, the hospital is full. Oh no, the temperature is still a little low. It dropped a little bit. Doesn't matter. We should be fine. It's not too cold. And the other bus line is going to be basically the same stuff. Pick up everyone you can and load off if you're still full and bring them over here, where they will basically work in all of these industries like railway, vehicle reparation, heating, and fire watch. Very important. And here we will need a lot more buses. So these 3 buses I'm just going to keep for reserve. And our city should be working now. Yep, we have water. You might not notice it, but the water is being immediately pumped into here. That is being converted into clean water from 89 quality to 100. It's going to be brought into our water storage. It's currently filling up and then supplying all the buildings in the surrounding area with clean water. The other way around, we have sewage. The sewage is being brought automatically via the slope to our sewage treatment plant. It's being converted from 39% sewage to 14 and then being carefully dumped into the Danube. Beautiful. So yeah, this is the very first step and the ultimate essentials for our city. Trust me, we will need quite a bit more, but that is something for next episode where we will basically set up the railway over here and prepare for winter, because winter is coming, and expand the city over here with stuff like education, policing, sports, retail activities, basically a lot of other needs we haven't talked about yet. But for now, thank you for watching. I wish you a beautiful day, and until next time.